Hey guys, happy Saturday. Celiac Awareness Month, day 18. But real quickly, just first of all, apologizing for my appearance, but I'm doing these go lives at the same time and no matter what. So we are in the middle of doing some yard work today, and I have my little trusty assistant. I'm going to try not to make you a little dizzy here. Got my trusty assistant out here with me. Nice and warm. Hey, Heather. And, I actually thought about this, and this is why I'm broadcasting out here, is because I wanted to share a little bit about one of the lessons, and then we'll get to talking about Awareness Day 18, which is school accommodations. But as I was reminded, I am a hot mess. I don't know how much of the dirt all over me you can actually see, but as I was pouring some mulch out here in the garden and just thinking, about those life lessons as far as when we're doing change, when it comes time to do the change, it's a little bit scary in the beginning, messy in the middle, and then when it's over, it can feel so good. So right now, we're in that messy middle phase as we started looking at projects for the house and figuring out what needed to be done. Definitely exciting and overwhelming. Sorry, somebody's wrapping herself around me. Hey, and I'm about to tell you to come get the dog, but I think we're going to be okay. So anyway, today's topic, like I said, talking about school accommodations. And this is per request from some of the groups that I'm in, where some of the moms have said, okay, what kind of accommodations can we get at school, like with a 504, if my child has celiac? So that's actually a good question. And the first place that we've got to start with is your child officially diagnosed with celiac. And that is where I will say that with my daughter having non-celiac gluten sensitivity, that makes it a little bit harder. So I never actually tried to get accommodations for her. I basically figured out, or at least not for celiac, my thought was that it was about doing what I needed to do to help her. So first thing is you need to actually have a medical diagnosis in order to get 504 accommodations. And celiac is a medical diagnosis. The other thing is it has to do with how it impacts your child and what age your child is. So thinking about some basic concepts starting from when they're younger and working up. Sorry guys, I've got a leash wrapped around me. Anyway, so starting from the younger age. So one of the biggest things is PlayDoh. So when it comes to PlayDoh, hey, guess what? There's gluten in it. And you know what? We don't give kids PlayDoh to eat, but let's be real. Kids stick stuff in their mouths that they're not supposed to. And so, yeah, that's one thing where there is gluten-free PlayDoh, and maybe you want to provide your own PlayDoh for your kid. Maybe you are looking to see if the school can provide that. If your child is in preschool, it kind of depends on the program as to what they're doing. But it is important to basically sit down, talk to the teachers, and it depends on so much on your specific situation. My thought was that these were things that I could easily accommodate, that I could easily provide because they were things that I had at home anyway. So the other thing is snacks and food. And this is a big deal because if you think about it, there's so much stuff that revolves around food these days, whether you're a kid, whether you're an adult. And so it also can depend on if your child actually gets the school lunch, as well as when people are, sorry, she's chasing bugs, a little distraction here. Anyway, if your child gets school lunch. So I do recommend that if your child has celiac, that, the older age, sitting down with the teacher at the beginning of the year and talking to them as far as what is going on with your child, if your child has the official diagnosis, and then also what is it that you're looking for. So what are those things that you would ask for in order to keep your child safe, because safety is key. What I would always do is just talk to the teachers at the beginning of the year and let them know my daughter has celiac. I personally do not find a whole lot of value or nutrition in school lunches. I know some people, depending on your financial circumstances, that is the best way to feed your child as far as your finances go. And so if that's the case, then you definitely need to work with them. But you need to understand that most of these schools are feeding huge quantities of children, and I see stories every day of the kids that are supposed to be getting gluten-free lunches, but they're not. So I would say that if you can provide for your children, I would, as far as the quality of nutrition and as far as knowing that they actually will not be cross-contaminated. Because sometimes arguing with the 504 whether they're getting the accommodations or not, it can be challenging depending on your school situation. So anyway, that's if you can provide lunch, please do, because then you've got a lot more control over what your child is actually eating. You know your child's getting a well-balanced meal, and you're also teaching your child how to eat healthy. But the biggest thing that I ran into and that I deal with is just sitting down and talking to the teacher at the beginning of the year and just saying, hey, look, can we send out an email to the other parents? And my request is that if you're going to send in treats, please give me a heads up, because I want to be able to provide a gluten-free option for my child. And if you could give me a heads up like the Friday before of the week that you're planning on sending treats in, then that would be awesome. And so that's what's happened most of the time, is that they would allow me to send the email to the teacher, and then the teacher, because a lot of the emails are usually blinded, that way you don't have every single person's email, they can send the email out with a BCC to all the class parents just saying, look, if you're going to bring treats in for your child or for anything, for a special occasion, there are kids in the class who have allergies or food intolerances, and if you could just give a heads up on the Friday before so that those parents can accommodate and plan accordingly, then that would be great. The other thing that I always did is I would have backup snacks in the room, because let's face it, as much as you're asking for those parents to give a heads up, there's a lot of the time that those parents are not going to give the heads up. And so, you know, your child, of course, is not going to eat the gluten because you want your child to stay safe, to stay healthy. But you also want your child to feel like that they get to celebrate with their friends as well. And so by being able to have some of those backup snacks, like in kindergarten, what I actually did is I had stuff that was baked goods and stuff that was stored in the freezer, and it was labeled with my daughter's name, food allergy, and it was in the staff freezer. There was a situation late in the year where it turned out that the cleaning crew apparently decided that they wanted to snack on it, and the teacher emailed me slightly embarrassed because they had been consumed. And I'm realizing that because of the heat, I need to actually move a little bit because the sun is bothering the phone. Okay. So we're going to see how this adjusts. Anyway, so having the snacks there as a backup option is definitely a good thing for your kid. As they get older, your child is going to learn how to speak for themselves. They're going to learn to advocate for themselves, and it's important that they learn that, because there's going to be different social situations. There's going to be overnights. There's going to be things where they just have to know how to handle that. So as they get older, it is important that you start handing over the responsibility to them, that they start doing some of the awareness, that they can talk to some of their teachers as they hit middle school, high school, depending on your child's personal, maturity level. There we go. Depending on their actual maturity level can vary as far as when you want to start handing that over. But it's also good, the teachers that would send out the notices at the beginning of the year, as far as like they would have all the kids' birthdays. I loved that. I knew when there was going to be likely a birthday situation happening. And one of the other things that I also did to make it easier to communicate with these parents so that they didn't hear from me randomly is any of the times that I would have the parents' names, I would go ahead and friend them on social media. Facebook, okay, because I'm on here broadcasting. So I would friend them on Facebook, and that had many benefits beyond just the being able to reach out to them knowing who I am instead of some random email from a mom. But by doing that, it was also really good for so many ways to be able to connect when there's questions, homework things totally unrelated to celiac. I think it's just a good thing to do as far as the community goes. So those are a couple of the basic things that I would do for my daughter. I've seen a lot of other things that people have done where it's gotten really complicated, but the basic is your kid's going to eat, and you just want to know ahead of time. When they have class parties, if you can in any way, shape, or form be there, I would highly encourage it. If when it comes to the class parties you can't be there, then you definitely want a list of what it is that they're bringing. My daughter's school, they actually do a Sign Up Genius. And so the teachers usually know when it comes to Sign Up Genius, it's not that I don't care, it's not that I'm not trying to contribute, but I will look at the Sign Up Genius to see what everybody else is bringing, because what I have to do is, instead of being the parent that buys, 20 bags or 20 things of cookies, I'm bringing in the gluten-free cookies for my daughter. I'm bringing in the gluten-free chips for my daughter. I'm bringing in the gluten-free ice cream cone for my daughter. And so because of the fact that I'm basically trying to bring in the gluten-free equivalent to what she would have on her plate for everything, and if I can be there, then I will be there. Now that I work at home, it makes it a lot easier. So those are a few of the tips. If there are other tips, please share. It is really not that complicated, I promise. The further you get into it, the more you know. But definitely make sure that your teachers are on the same page, that they know that they don't just get to feed your child some random treat. They need to treat it as an allergy. You can have your discussion with them about autoimmune, but please understand not everybody wants to hear all of that. What they care about is what does it actually mean, and if they treat it as an allergy, then they'll treat it seriously. So anyway, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys so much. Tomorrow's topic is actually going to be traveling with celiac, as I will be on the road from a location that I will disclose later. So super excited about that. If you have questions about what I've discussed, if you have things to add to what I've discussed, please post it in the comments below. If you find this video helpful, please share it with friends that you know, people that could benefit from this. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. So I will see you guys tomorrow right around 12:30, as long as I've got a cell phone signal. We'll be kind of, I don't know, we should definitely be at our destination by then. So I'll make sure that I'm somewhere where I can do a go live and share with you guys some of my favorite tips and tricks for traveling with celiac. Thank you. Have an amazing day. Take care.